How many stars are there in our galaxy? How many grains of sand in the Sahara? How many ants live on Earth? These are all questions that seem impossible to answer. However, through intensive and extensive data analysis, science is coming amazingly close to finding the solutions. When it comes to ants, a research team has done just that. They published their findings in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the USA, PNAS. But how many ants are there? The lead author of the study says that according to their estimates, the global ant population is 20 into 10 to the power of 15. That is 20 quadrillion animals. That is 20 with 15 zeros, which is hard to grasp and appreciate. It becomes clearer when we calculate the biomass of the animals. This amounts to 12 megatons of carbon. That exceeds the combined biomass of wild birds and mammals and corresponds to about 20% of humanity's biomass. In order to calculate the number of ants, the team reviewed a wide variety of existing studies on the insects, ultimately evaluated about 500 suitable papers and combined them in a database. It was known that ants inhabit almost all habitats except for the polar regions. The study was the first to empirically investigate how they are distributed there. It turned out that the tropics have the highest ant density. Besides the climate zone, local ecosystems also play an important role. Forest and arid regions are home to the most specimens, whereas they are much rarer in areas heavily influenced by humans. Future studies should focus on which environmental influences specifically affect the distribution of ants and to what extent this will change, especially as a result of climate change. Why the number and distribution of these animals is so important in the first place is shown by an example cited in the study. Per hectare, ants move up to 13 tons of soil mass per year. So they have a great influence on maintaining the nutrient cycle and also play a decisive role in the distribution of plant seeds. Sometimes, however, the insect's influence is also negative. Invasive species, for example fire ants, can have a negative impact on local biodiversity and cause considerable damage.